In this video, we will define the types of nonfiction genres and what nonfiction is. Nonfiction. Let's look at that word first. The word non means not. Fiction means fake. So if we put those together, it means not fake, which means real. So nonfiction is not fake or topics that actually happened or are real. So nonfiction are real things, fiction are fake things. Our first category we're going to talk about is poetry. Now, poetry could actually be fiction or nonfiction. You could have a poem that was about an actual real event, like the Civil War, or someone's life. Or you could have a poem that is fiction that's made up, like Sarah Cynthia Sylvia Stout. That's a fictional poem. Poetry is a shortened form of writing that may follow a form or structure. So it uses lines, it's organized into stanzas, and sometimes you have poems that have certain rhyme schemes like limericks, or you have some poems that don't have any rules or structure like a free verse. Poems are the author's expression of feelings and opinions, so how the author feels or thinks about something. Here are some examples of poetry books. Shel Silverstein is a very famous poet. He's written books like Where the Sidewalk Ends and A Light in the Attic, and these are a collection of poems. Rolling in the Aisles is a collection of funny poems, and The 100 Best Poems of All Time is again another poetry anthology or collection of poems. Our next nonfiction genre is biography. A biography is a true story of someone else's life, written by someone else. And that's what you really need to remember, is that it is a true story of someone's life, but it's not written by that same person. It's written by someone else. Here are some examples of biographies. As you see, each of these books is about a famous person. But if you look at the bottom, underneath the title, there are different names, such as Joanne Price, David Porter, and Martin Green. These are the authors of those biographies. So each of these books was not written by the celebrity, it was written by someone else, and therefore it's a biography. An autobiography is a true story of someone else's life, just like a biography, but it's written by themselves. It's written by that person. If you think about auto means like personally, you can do it. So an autobiography is when someone writes about their own life. A memoir is sort of like an autobiography, but it's just a shorter account of their life. It's a memory. So think of the word memory when you think of memoir. It's a true short account of the author's experiences, and it's written by themselves. So it's still written by the person it's about, but it's just a memory, not necessarily their whole life. A real memory in that person's life is what a memoir is. Here are some examples of autobiographies and memoirs. The book Soul Surfer is about an actual person, Bethany Hamilton, who was attacked by a shark, and she is a surfer with one arm. Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl, is also an autobiography. Anne Frank actually wrote it. It's her diary entries. Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul has a collection of memoirs that actual teenagers write about their life. So these are all stories about people's lives written by those people. Informational texts are another form of nonfiction. If you see, it has the word information in it. So what do informational texts tell us? They provide information on a certain topic you want to know more about. So you could have a book about science, or a book about how to make crafts, a book about a certain sport like soccer, any articles, or maybe you have a book about social studies. These all have information, so they're informational. Here are some examples of informational texts. There's a book on baseball, a book on how to draw, there's a book on soccer, a book on cars, and a travel book of Europe. So all of these books are real facts and information about certain topics. The next type of nonfiction genre is articles and essays. Articles and essays are a short piece of nonfiction that expresses the writer's opinions or shares information about a subject. So it's usually a shorter form of writing, and it's someone's opinion about something. Here's an example of an article on the left-hand side. Website helps boost brain power. So in this article, the person is trying to argue that a website helps increase brain power. On the right, you'll see an essay, why libraries are important. So this essay is about why libraries are important, and the author is writing their opinion on that. Letters are the last type of genre we're going to discuss. A letter is a text from one person to another. So someone is writing to a specific person. It has a certain format. You start with dear and the person's name, or sincerely, or some kind of beginning or end to introduce yourself and to conclude who it's for. You have business letters, which are more formal, and then you have personal letters, like if you were to write a letter to a friend or a family member. Letters are in first person point of view. So if I was writing a letter, I would say, I feel this way, or I hope you're doing well. It wouldn't just be Miss Reisinger thinks you're doing well. It's written in first person point of view. Here are some examples of letters. If you look on the left-hand side, we have a business letter. Notice it starts with the name, the address, the date, and then dear, the person's name, and then it's organized into paragraphs. It ends with sincerely and the person's name again. So a business letter is a lot more formal. Then we have a personal letter on the right. Again, we put the address, the date, dear, the person's name. It's organized into paragraphs, and then at the end it has a more personal ending greeting. Love from Wendy. So personal letters are a lot less formal. These are all the nonfiction genres that we will be discussing. Make sure you've filled out all your notes.